Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. It's Dr. Roxy with Care and Physical Therapy and Wellness here for the third installment of our Getting Me Back on the Hiking Trails Again series. So, in the first series, we talked about icing, which is basically the first thing you need to do if you ever have an injury is start icing that thing right away for about the first 72 hours of an acute injury. So, we covered that. Then we covered resting, but also staying mobile, right? You want those tissues to stay soft and supple, and you want your range of motion to stay full, as long as it's pain-free. So we talked about those two things. Now we're going to talk about what if you can't quite get that full range of motion during the initial stages of the injury. Well, I've got some tools to help me. So if the range of motion that you're doing is uncomfortable, if you don't have full range of motion, if you know your muscles feel tight and sore and stiff and uncomfortable, here's what you can do. Okay, starting with the foam roll. So if you can stand the weight of your body part, your leg, on the foam roll without too much pain, then what you're going to do is find the spot, or a spot, because you'll probably have many, that really feels tight, stiff, uncomfortable, painful, etc. When you find that spot, what you can do is roll the whole length of it, or you can just let your legs sit there and rest. Or you can kind of move your foot up and down, back and forth, whichever gives you the feeling of, pressure and some sort of sense of release without being so painful that you can't stand it. If you feel like you can tolerate more than your body weight, or, all of the weight of your leg on it, you can lift your bottom up and roll completely. If this is too much, they do make these cute little tiger tails that you can use similarly, but can gauge the pressure based on your how much pressure you can put through your hand. Okay, so that's the first. If you're ready to kind of move on to something a little more targeted, a little more pinpointed, you can use a tennis ball, or a massage ball, a lacrosse ball, things like that. Whatever works best for you. I'm going to try this massage ball because I'm kind of at that stage right now. So again, you're going to find the spot that kind of really speaks to you, and get that ball there. And then again, you can kind of just gently roll around. You can move your foot up and down, however works best for you to target that spot without creating pain, but feel like you're actually having an impact on the soft tissue. Whatever works best. Now, if you're really up for a challenge and you really want to work your tissue, you can get one of these balls with the spikes on it. They definitely are less comfortable, but are very effective for the smaller areas. Or you can just get a much smaller massage ball. But I kind of like this one because it really kind of gets in to some of the spaces that I have tenderness. If you can tolerate the pressure of your foot, you can get that right in there. And it really kind of helps to loosen up, particularly the 4 layers of muscles and fascia in your foot. Okay, now if you go to physical therapy, you've probably seen some of these tools. This is a silicone cup. This is used for decompressing the tissue, creating space, opening things up. So if any of these techniques you've tried and they just are way too painful, then you can go to this cup. And so see your local physical therapist for that. Also, if you feel like some of this stuff is just too compression-y, too painful, you can try a Gua Sha tool, which I'm assuming you probably don't have laying around the house, but there is something that you do have laying around the house that will help. Gua Sha tends to target a little bit more the connective tissue or fascia between the muscles and things like that, and tendons and other areas like that. So meet me in the kitchen, and we'll talk about the tool that you can use for gua shaing your tendons and fascia. Okay, we're in the kitchen, and you can use a bar of soap, the edges of the bar of soap, as a gua sha tool to work on any sort of tissue that's bugging you. And the amazing thing about this is that you don't need lotion, you don't need massage oil or anything like that, because the soap is slippery enough with water. I typically do this in the shower. We are not doing it in the shower for obvious reasons, but let me show you what I do. All right, so I get the soap wet, get my foot wet, and then I'm going to use one of the edges as a tool to just kind of scrape the tissue. And I'm just scraping the tissue where it feels tender. And what's going to happen is it's going to start to turn red a little bit. You may not be able to see that because, of course, the soap is white. And you can use a corner to get into smaller spots, right? And don't rub super hard. I would say, go real easy to start with, and then you can increase your pressure as you like. It's going to be tender. It shouldn't feel icky. It should feel good. But there are going to be spots where you're kind of like, oh yeah, that's the spot. Oh, that's the spot. Right? Now, the other place that I like to go, for me, for this particular injury, is right here. My anterior tibialis muscle gets overworked trying to fight the stiffness in my calf every time I pick up my foot when I'm walking. So this gets really tender right in here. And I'm just using the edge of the soap, and I'm scraping it against my skin, and it glides beautifully. Oh, and it feels so fabulous. So you're going to do that on whatever tissue feels like it needs to get some work for, 2 to 5 minutes. 5 minutes might be a lot. And then after that, you have a perfectly clean foot.
All right, long video today, but thanks for sticking through to the end, and hopefully it was well worth the watch. If you're interested in purchasing any of the tools we used today, I have photos with Amazon links you can use to check them out. And Target is always a great place to get tennis balls and a bar of soap if you don't happen to have those items already. Disclaimer, we are all different people with different bodies and different injuries, so what works for me may not work for you. Please see your local physical therapist for your specific problem. Next time I see you, we're going to talk about the arch support options I am using for any type of shoe to decrease my pain while standing. Until then, be well.